Hey, now, whenever you're doing surface area and volume, it is super important that you use and rely on the formula sheet. But we want you to get to know that formula sheet really well. So you're going to take notes on this. Hopefully you have this page or a formula sheet copy, so you can make sure to understand everything on it. Because if you learn to use all the information given to you on a formula sheet, this stuff is easy. Between the formula sheet and Desmos, you've got it made, okay? So first, let's look. Whenever you see the letter V, the V stands for the word volume, okay? Whenever you see a capital SA, that stands for surface area. All right, we're also going to do a little review and make sure that we know what these three-dimensional figures are actually named. This one here is called a rectangular prism. Okay, that means that all of its faces are rectangular in shape. And a prism means that the two bases at the end are the same. That's how you'll be able to recognize it later. Okay? Then if we look at this here, that is called a cylinder. And I'm very fortunate that I actually think that I spelled those correctly, so I am in good shape. So when we come over here and we talk about a rectangular prism, we are going to talk about finding its volume and its surface area. But we need to know what each of these letters stands for. To find volume, it says LWH. When those letters are side by side like that, that means you're multiplying. The L stands for the length. The W stands for the width. And the H stands for the height. Okay, so the volume is length times width times height. Okay, it's going to be important to label those when you start doing problems because you don't want to mix them up. It really does not matter which is length, which is width, which is height, but you just have to make sure that only one number goes with each letter. For surface area, you're going to take 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the length times the height plus 2 times the width times the height, okay? So now let's come over here and look at cylinder, excuse me. And there are a couple of new letters that we haven't seen today, that is, and we've got an R and an H, all right? So again, we've got volume and we've got surface area. But let's look right here at this picture. Do you see this starts right in the middle and comes to an edge? That's the radius. So the center of a circle going out to the edge of that circle, as you can see on top, is going to be your radius. Now, the distance between the top of a cylinder and the bottom of a cylinder, that is known as the height of that cylinder. Okay, so wherever the line is that connects both the top and the bottom, that's going to be your height. To figure the volume for cylinder, you're going to do pi r squared times h. Okay, and surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. All right, and r stands for radius. And H stands for height. Okay? So remember, once you figure out volume, you're going to have cubic units. And when you figure out surface area, you're going to have square units. All right? We're going to do some examples with you, and this is all going to be much easier than you ever thought it was. All right? Ms. Benson, will you take page number 2?
Yes. Okay. So you might and you might not, but you might remember these two shapes from an earlier grade. But in 8th grade, there are also two new shapes. One of those is a pyramid, and it's actually a very specific kind of pyramid, but we will talk more about that when we get there. And then the other is a cone, literally like an ice cream cone, okay? They're both shapes that you've probably seen somewhere in your life before, but you've never done volume or surface area of these shapes. And they come with some new letters. Okay, and some of them are kind of crazy, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today. I just want to make sure you have everything written down. All right, so let's actually do this cone. All right, the cone's got a couple of letters the same as that cylinder that we just saw. I've got this little line that goes halfway across my circle, and that is still my radius. I've got a line that goes straight up and down that measures how tall my cone is, and that is still the height. But now I have a new letter, okay? I have this side that goes like diagonally from the edge of the circle up to the tippy-toppy point, all right? And this is called the slant height. And if you look at that line, you can probably figure out why, because that side is slanted from the top to the bottom. The regular height goes straight up and down. The slant height is at a slant. Okay? And these formulas are not going to be too hard. They're actually kind of similar to the cylinder formulas, but with a couple little things added. So I've got 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height, and pi times the radius squared plus pi times the radius times the slant height. And when we get to cones, I think you're going to think, oh, this is so easy. But then we have this other shape, a pyramid, okay? And this one is not new to your life. You've probably seen a picture of a pyramid somewhere before, but it is new to math, okay? And some of the letters will be familiar, and some of them will be brand new just for pyramids, okay? So I still have a regular height. I still measure straight up and down from the top to the bottom of the pyramid to measure how tall it is. Okay, still my height. And it also has a letter in common with the cone. So if I go diagonally or slanted down the side, that L is still slant height. But then I have two new letters. I have a capital B and a lowercase p. And we're gonna write all of this down today, but you are gonna go through it in a lot more detail in like 4 videos from now when you learn about pyramids, okay? So if you're a little bit lost today, just make sure you have everything written down. It will be okay, I promise. So the big B, if you look at the picture, and these pictures are one of the best resources for this unit, there's a B just kind of floating in the middle of the bottom of the pyramid, okay? And that's because big B is the area of the base, all right? And all of our pyramids in 8th grade are all going to have a square for the base. And we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about that in 4 videos when we get there, but you have to find the area of that square to know what big B is, all right? And then P is the perimeter of the base. So that means how far is it around that square at the bottom of the pyramid? So how far all the way around this? Okay, so make sure you have all of this written down. The next time we see you, we're gonna do a review of rectangular prisms. So just keep this stashed for like another week or so. All right, we'll see you then.